Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Let's Talk About the League podcast. I'm Ace, and this is the only podcast you can listen to that has anything to do with the LCUS, despite the popularity. This week, we have with us a special guest, a spicy hot meme, and Poison Ivy from Team Northern Storm. And as always, we have Sig Tao Lord here with us. How you doing, Sig Tao?
I am fantastic. I'd throw in some expletives. I'm that good, but I think we're trying to get monetized. So let's skip that part.
Yeah. And how are you two doing?
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
Good. Glad to have you guys here with us. And yeah, so let's just hop right into it. Uh, let's just start with your set of games, actually, instead of the first set. So the third set of games was Northern Storm versus Option 12. And unfortunately, it seems like Option 12 took the 2-0 versus you guys despite a very close second game. How'd you guys think that set went?
Oh, I think that was the game of how Token doesn't know how to, or Spicy doesn't know how to smite at all. That's the first thing we noticed.
Yeah. Yeah, that happens to everybody. You can be smite vicious. That's fine.
Yeah. I think the second game I think what actually lost us wasn't really the Baron, but I think I tilted myself off the face of the planet after the Baron miss, and then I sort of just inted into the Dragon for no bloody reason. We could have really just given up Baron, Dragon, the Ocean Drake after that, and just turtled. And in hindsight, that was the better play. But yeah,
Yeah, that happens a lot of the time. It's like you miss that easy Baron that would win you the game, and it's hard to come back from that.
Yeah, it was like everybody panicked and then nobody knew how to play or what they were doing after that. So
we had the brain explosion after that Baron. And then we forgot how to play for 5 minutes. And then after we lost the game, we're like, I went, what the fuck what did I do? I think I threw, I threw the game at Dragon when you go over the wall for no reason, and Ocean is not even that good anyway. So, whoops.
Yeah.
Well, you tell that to Ocean Drake. I really don't think you'd be insulting its value like that. I mean, it's a little rough. I mean, he is a valued member of the League of Legends community.
That only counts if I'm Nunu. If I'm any other jungler, it doesn't matter.
It's fair. I like Ocean, but that's because they nerfed mid lane mana way too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what do you guys think of Option 12? Do you think they're a pretty good team right now?
yeah, they're actually the team that I was expecting to go like the furthest and win it all or be in the top two actually. So
Cool. Well, it's good to have them out of the way, I guess, and then you guys can focus on the next 4 weeks of games. You still have 3 points, so you're not dead in the water. Um, so next set, let's just talk about another team that almost threw off of a Baron. Take the Lantern versus more Cowbell. Uh, they went 2-0 towards Take the Lantern, but not without missing two Barons. One that got down to also 27 hit points and got stolen by Zigzalt. So that was a fun time. Um, Also during that set, we saw a Kaisa pulled out by more Cowbell's Brandana, the AD carry, with like 10 kills within the first like 12 minutes or something like that. Anybody review those games or look at them?
I'll admit after that strong Kaiser performance, I was given a second chilling to the words I said. I think two maybe the very last podcast we did last split. I talked a whole bunch of stuff, but I won't say I was put in my place, but an asterisk went at the end of my sentence.
I wasn't too impressed with the Morgana pick. To be honest, I think with how their team comp was going, it's super awkward to play with a Morgana and Rumble, considering Rumble ultis first. So immediately everyone's running away in 5 different directions. They're not all going to sit in there in the ultimate. And the Morgana pick sort of felt dead in the water. I could see why they would choose it because it's a good way of pushing your mid lane in and then having Morgana run around and roam onto like say the top and bot lane. But it sort of just fell dead in the water after I think he died a couple times, and then you can sort of just see the Morgana sort of turtle a little bit more, a lot harder, and not really push out the lane. I
Yeah.
believe that's what happened.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised to see Shaden not play a hyper aggressive top bruiser like he's played all the other times. I think he played um, I can't remember, but he played an Irelia.
Didn't he play like Yasuo
Yeah,
top?
Yasuo, Irelia, and Fiora, and then switching that up and going to
Yeah.
Rumble.
Well, I think it was surprising, and it worked to an extent with the Rumble top.
Mhm.
It just he never got ahead in that lane, and I guess you can sort of say you can give your Take the Lantern's top laner credit for playing as safe as he could, because as soon as you give Rumble a kill, he's off to the races. You're just so far behind. You're going to be like down 40 or so-ish CS already as it is, and then now you're exacerbated a lead where you're sort of going, oh my god, I'm in a sinking ship, and now I don't have as many hands as I can to sort of plug the holes. So
Yeah.
I think what could have exacerbated Shaden's leads should have been a tower dive topside. Once like Shaden hits 6 first, you just all in that Galileo before he hits 6, and you just kill that top laner like once or twice, and then just let Shaden go.
Hmm. Definitely.
Because I think that's what won them the game with the Yasuo game, where it's like they sort of camped Shaden in a sense, and then they just gave him a couple kills, and then once he got a couple kills, he was just off to the races. There he goes.
Yeah, he's definitely one of the strongest top laners in the league, and they definitely rely on him to carry a little bit. I think that him and Flay Matthews are gonna have a little bit more synergy in the coming
Yeah.
weeks. Anyone else have anything about those games? Nah. All right. So the first set of games was the 1-1 set of the between White Wolf Gaming and Team Phoenix. Um, the only not the only thing, but one of the things I have to say about these games is somehow everyone keeps letting Team Phoenix's mid laner get comfort picks. They've given him Vigar and Anivia so far this split, each one time, but I believe each of those games were the games that they've won so far. He's pretty crazy on his comfort picks.
Well, and even beyond that, with that team dynamic, what do you ban away from to that? What do you take that wouldn't be a trade in itself, letting Nebulon or even a Machamp pick up? I mean, there's not really a safe ban there. So I think it might be doing a cost benefit analysis of what's more evil here, what's going to cause us the most trouble.
Yeah, I think Van Hohenheim 1v9ing is what I'm always scared about. Nebulon is a great player too. He, if you OPGG him, a whole bunch of carry champions on there. As I think every team has banned the Jax away from him, and he also pulled out the Xin Zhao in the game as well. So
My biggest surprise is RTC when he went Pantheon into Swain. He did not bring Ignite, but instead brought Teleport, and he brought Summon Ares instead of Electrocute. One little neat trick you can do with Pantheon top laners to sort of bully out people like Swain who are sort of dependent on trying to survive that very early game is you go Ignite and Corrupting Pot. So you basically hard shove your first wave, which is you try to get to 2 first. And then you all in him level 2 because of Electrocute and how Pantheon scales with his passive and stuff. You chunk him down to about a quarter HP. And if he stays in lane, you just kill him under tower. Because of your passive.
yeah,
So it was sort of interesting that he took Summon Ares over Electrocute. Maybe, and he did also max Q instead of E. But this is more of my own preference when I play Pantheon top, because I am going for the all-in style where you want to try to get a kill early on, go back and then just try to snowball your lead. And then once you hit 6, you just run around to the other lanes. Sort of like you're playing Pantheon jungle.
yeah, I agree with that. Taking Ignite, especially with the changes to it, seems
Yeah.
like the right choice there, as well as the fact that you'd be able to ignite him once he hit 6 and started healing off stuff too. So
Yeah, so in my personal opinion, I think if the Pantheon went Ignite and he was able to get a little bit of help where he gets like a level 2 gank. And ganking a Pantheon is the easiest thing in the world because the Pantheon has a point and click stun. So you just press W and he's dead no matter how hard you try. Because
yeah.
even you flash, you just walk around and do it again. Right? So I think that was my biggest gripe with the Pantheon top was that he didn't take Ignite for 1, and for 2, he didn't roam as much as I would like him to. He sort of used his ultimates later on, but he didn't really like, instead of shafting top lane for a bunch of farm, he can go bot lane where bot lane could be pushing in and just gank that, right? Because I don't think the bot lane's ever going to expect the Pantheon out of nowhere to use his ultimate to come down bot, and you might be able to get away with that once or twice in this kind of setting.
Hmm. Definitely. It is cool to see him pull out unique top laners, but maybe a little bit more
Yeah.
meta on those things. And then of course we had Team Blitzkrieg on a bye week, so they're coming into week 3 as the only team that has not won a game yet, but we'll see. But today we had patch 8.10 come out, with the biggest changes being in the jungle. So what are you seeing with the jungle changes, Spicy?
Oh, man. You're gonna see a lot of Graves. A lot of Graves. If you're in solo queue, expect to permaban Graves, because Graves is one of the strongest junglers at the moment. And I would not be surprised if one of these junglers, including myself, maybe, might have been practicing him a bunch, just practicing jungle routes, practicing like how to optimize your jungle pathing, because he is so stupidly strong right now. And a lot of people are like, yeah, he doesn't deserve a ban. And like when he's like 2-0 and he's able to 1v2 your top laners and your jungler, you're like, yeah, that's how strong Graves is.
Yeah, I've
And
been
especially with how
banning him for
scuttle
2
changes are
patches
too.
so far.
Yeah,
And that's before these changes.
yeah, I always thought Graves was always a sleeper OP. So with the Scuttle changes as well, Graves becomes even more powerful because he's like, he can path up, take Scuttle, invade your jungle, and because of how strong he clears, he's probably going to outclear most people now. So he'll be always about one camp ahead. I did just play against the Graves, and I was one camp behind him, even with someone as fast as say Kindred, for example. And even I think my love for Nunu, I probably would still be one camp behind him if I was trying to power farm against him.
Yeah. I think Lee Sin's got nerfed again because of warding having
Poor Lee Sin,
yeah.
that one Lee Sin player in the chat, he's just like, God damn it.
Yeah, I just played a game of Lee Sin and I just literally didn't ward anything. I just saved my trinkets the whole time
Yeah,
because
some people have said you can pick up control wards, but my argument for that is because Lee Sin is such an early game champion, you do need to save your money to pick up your first 2 items, which is what your power spike is based on. If you're sinking 75 or 150 gold into wards, you're losing that 150 gold that you can be buying into your jungle item, into Dusk Blade, into Yomu's, or whatever whatever style you're sort of playing at that time.
yeah, especially if like you don't get a kill out of it and you're just used to running away with it. It's like, oh, wasted
Yeah.
75 gold.
Yeah, warding as a jungler too becomes a lot harder, especially with those the takeaway of the talisman, Hunter's talisman, for sort of the tanker junglers. So I'm sort of expecting to see a little more proactive warding, trying to get warding for value now, out of junglers instead of just spamming it everywhere, which is what I prefer, to be honest. Just put the wards wherever I'm walking through, just because it's on a low cooldown. Now it's sort of, you have to think of where you put it to try to get the most value for its site.
Yeah, I like as a mid laner, I tend to try to drop a deep ward early.
Yeah,
And that's actually going to be nice to have a little bit of an extended duration on that.
yeah,
Since like, level 2 or level 3, level 4, I won't go back and drop another one anyways, so it's nice to have it last a little bit longer. The other part that I saw is I'm seeing mid laners take the new AP item, not the AP item, but the updated Echo item in the jungle.
Runic Echoes.
Yes. They're taking that instead of going for normal Echo, and they're taking Spellbook, it seems like, so they're not just stuck with Smite the whole time.
Yeah.
I
I will say that's not as good. When I first saw the item, I'm like, oh, this is going to be great for AP junglers. And then you realize, wait, no, movement speed is key. Like, the movement speed is what made Runic Echoes. Because if you need 300 mana, you probably already are going to still have trouble with mana management.
yeah.
And you're normally if you're playing an AP jungler, you never really needed to be mana, like you never needed to juggle mana as hard if you knew how to sort of time your able to time your spells to maximize damage,
Yeah,
to optimize damage. There we go.
but mid laners are taking it. like Zoe
Yeah.
and stuff like that. They're
Shifter's dunking on it. I mean, he's knocking it out of the park. Last I checked, he had a 7-game win streak, and other players in Challenger are picking it up. I mean, that should be a green light. I'm sorry, no, not a green light. To the contrary, a red light, a big old whopping red light that maybe your meta isn't healthy right now in that lane when they're like, you know what, let's take this other lane's items.
yeah, it's kind of crazy. I mean, it's not that broken. It's definitely broken, but it's not as bad as it used to be when there was whatever the heck it was for Ezreal and Oriana. When they were
Oh
taking
yeah,
slow.
that was fun. I
It's,
don't think it's that broken. I think it's just a spellbook change, to be honest.
it's 600 gold less, but besides that, it's kind of hard to. It's definitely worse than a Luden's Echo. You can just get it a lot earlier. So I don't know. Anyone else have anything about the patch?
The two things that I want to talk about are, one, I love the ward change, the extended time on the wards. Big fan. If you're going to take away the more options for people to ward and put a timer on when additional wards can be gained, then this, I think, will improve early gameplay. So I like that. But also, we've had a lot of people throughout this podcast or other conversations. We've been talking about how it doesn't feel like one person can throw the game for everybody. And I really like the changes to the kill streak bounties. I think it takes a lot of that into consideration. And this might be a managing step by Riot to fix that issue. And I like it. It slows the game pace down a little bit, but that might be what fixes it.
I'm kind of concerned about the. How do I say this? As someone that plays carry champions, I'm concerned about getting kill stealed more. I tend to not care because as long as the person's dead, whatever. But now if there's like an extra 300 gold sitting on someone and the kill gets stolen, that's actually a pretty big difference instead of having it split among teammates.
So you're not going to play with me anymore?
We'll just know who the real carry is, and it'll
We'll
be
know who the real player is. My problem with the bounties is that it's going to exacerbate the same solo queue mentality. I think they could have nerfed like how much gold was split among the teams. It's a little bit too beneficial when you get when you get a bounty kill and you're able to sort of share it across. My problem with this is that it's going to basically hyper focus a sort of a KDA style where it's like I got to just get my KDA. If I get 3 kills in a row, 4 kills in a row, it's all good. So it's sort of like maybe that's good, but at the same time it's like it's going to sort of, it might put more pressure on the one person to carry a little bit harder, but it's also going to sort of bring back that same old sort of I would say in a sense a toxic solo queue mentality where it's I want all the kills, give me all the kills, rather than just he's dead, just kill him.
I can agree with your point, but people that would be toxic in that nature, this really isn't a thing that will make them more toxic, or this is not an action to address toxicity. When I see this, I see that when Jax gets ahead and he starts roaming and we're getting all these assists, but he's the one that's getting all these kills. Late game, if I can deal with Jax, the game still goes on. It's not, well, Jax has a 70% kill participation, so everyone on his team is fed as crap. I think this limits that one person's throwing it for us because they won't benefit that whole team as much. Just Jax.
Yeah. Fair points. All right. And with that, we'll move on to our sponsors. Once again, this week, episode 3 of the Let's Talk About League podcast is brought to you by the Simple Soyman. It's a local Milwaukee health foods company that has been bringing healthy, delightful products to the Milwaukee and greater Milwaukee area for over 30 years. Currently now available in the Dynamite Thai food restaurants as of last week. Once again, that is the Simple Soyman in the greater Milwaukee area. All right, and now on to week 3. The first set of games are Option 12, who played you guys last week, versus More Cowbell, who played me last week. Um, Sig, what do you think about these games?
Well, my boys, the most synergist team in the LCUS, Brandana, Mr. Pig, I think they're going to bring the noise in the bot lane. Option 12, they've got their championship belt on right now, but they've got a lot to worry about with this Cowbell team. Shaden in the top lane, literal god. Guy knows his role. Flay Matthews, brand new player, but he's not scared to throw down as he's shown so far in this split. CB Hickey, new role, and he's doing well. But I'm telling you, this bot lane's it. Brandana, Mr. Pig, signed, sealed, delivered. It's yours.
Yeah. Yeah, we saw it last week. Mr. Pig and Brandana were not the problem in those games for Cowbell. Went ham. I'm excited to see Shaden versus Prowler. Shaden was on the same team as Prowler last split, as the AD carry, and I know that they were jokingly talking about role swapping, which of course is not allowed, but role swapping last split and having Shaden just one-trick Camille top lane. I wonder if Prowler and the crew will let them have Camille just to see how it goes. Poison, Spicy, anything to add to that?
I'm more interested to see how their jungle matchup goes. Mostly because when I look at Flay Matthews Rammus, I'm hoping with how the patch changes goes, Rammus sort of does get hit because he's very slow, doesn't have too much sustain. I wonder what else Flay will bring out onto the board. In my sense, I'm sort of hoping that More Cowbell wins it, so we have a chance to catch up to them. So hey, biases are biases.
Yeah, me too. Hopefully no teams go as undefeated as they have the last few splits. Also, yeah, Flay Matthews pulling out Udyr and Rammus and some other weird pick that I can't remember too in the other weeks. Second set of games, Take the Lantern versus Team Phoenix. I'm looking forward to playing versus Van Hohenheim. I always enjoy going up against him, and I think if one of us manages to get a Nivea, it'll be a fun game, but I doubt that's going to happen. I'm also very excited to see Darian play again. My team's only played the second week of games since we were on bye week, one of the two. And he really carried us through the Cowbell series with his Malphite play. So I'm excited to see him go up against a My Chance champion pool of I think he's played Mundo and Swain and stuff like that. Very interesting champions. Oh, and also Team Phoenix has a replacement AD carry for the remainder of the split. So it's kind of hard to see and guess how they're going to be doing.
Well, this isn't Envy's first dance with us, correct? He did play in a prior. He has subbed or played in a prior split.
Yeah, he's played in both of the prior splits for multiple teams. He had 2-0'd Take the Lantern on White Wolf Gaming last split as well.
Oh, I wish him the best. It's a good team for him to be on.
Yeah. And then in the last set of games, we have White Wolf Gaming, who is currently 2 ties. Had 2 sets. Wait, no. One win and 1 2-0 versus them. They have 1 point versus Team Blitzkrieg, who has only played 1 week, but is still sitting at 0 points. I'm excited to see them play. I think seeing... Well, actually, Spicy, go ahead. What do you think about the jungle?
Yo, I'm sort of been prodding White Wolf Gaming jungler to do a couple other things, mostly because we've been both back and forth bouncing ideas off each other, mostly because I do know him and that's how I got into this league. So I've been trying to sort of coax him into playing a certain tree, but he will never do it. Mostly because with how again with the new meta changes and the new patch, it'll be interesting to see what new junglers do come out of the box. My favorite pony is now dead in the water because he can't clear camps very fast. So rip my pony. So there are a lot of junglers that will be sliding down the tier list, and a couple that are being raised above the pedestal. So be interesting to see how these junglers bring out, and I'm sort of interested to see what new things they are willing to sort of play.
Yeah.
Especially Arcane's Arcane Soda, who played 3 Sejuani games so far. I mean, come on, man. I know you love Sejuani, but play something else. It's so boring to watch sometimes. All you're doing is sitting and farming.
I want to make an incredibly important off-topic point. You had mentioned you wanted to play a certain tree, and that should have popped right in my head. But thinking about it, man, Riot put a lot of tree-based champions in this game if you compare it to everything else. I mean, we don't even have as many humans as we do tree-based champions and tree-based skins.
Interesting. Yeah. Soon to have a lot of fish-based champions, but
Because that's all that's all support's allowed is robots and fish. That's it.
yeah. All right. Anyone have anything else about week 3? Any bold predictions they want to pull out and be right or wrong about that will never be brought up again?
Bold prediction. I hope Blitzkrieg brings out Nunu, because that would be fantastic. Just use my Nunu that I used against them, because Cheney uses Zac, and even though Zac did get a buff, it's sort of hard to play an AP tank style without losing tank stats. So maybe he brings out Nunu, because Nunu did get buffed with the good old Hunter's Hunter's Talisman buff. Be great. I'm hoping.
And it'll be a fight of the Sejuanis, since Cheney and Arcane both love Sej. Oh, in the chat right now, we heard something about Arcane Soda just said, did I walk into a convo about Ivern? Because if he did, he's pretty upset with you. He's saying, thanks for calling me out. All caps.
Yes, I am calling you out. You better play that. You promised me. You promised when we play against each other, one of us will play Ivern, the other will play Nunu, and we'll have a fun and interactive gameplay session.
Yes, PBE.
That's our bold prediction when our game comes together. White Wolf Gaming plays when we play against White Wolf Gaming. One of us will be Ivern, one of us will be Nunu.
Good to hear. Sig, do you think that myself will play more than how many champions do you think I'm going to play this week? Like, comparatively.
It's a best of 2, so probably like 4 or 5.
Yes. Do you think-
I have no idea week to week. Really, I think the issue is you get confused, and you're just like, man, let's play some Mario. Let's play this. Let's play that.
Yeah. My bold prediction is going to be that I think option 12 is going to let Shaden have Camille. That's what I think is going to happen this week, but God knows. All right. With that, let's go do the Q&A. We don't have too many going on this week, but we have some. The first question comes in from the Facebook group, and it asks, with Team Liquid being knocked out of MSI, we show that NA is pretty much disappointing internationally. What do we think that we can do to improve NA? Not
Change the import rules.
Change the import rules. In what way? More imports?
I think that's really the only solution. I mean, that's the sad truth of it. I think we have a very strong meta when you're playing in North America, but it's not competitive or innovative enough to take on some of these more dominant areas. I mean, who was it? I can't remember which pro said it, but EU performed to the same level or better than North America on 1/10 the budget. I mean, what are we throwing money at there?
But the problem with like saying that is that you have to realize that excluding NA and EU, I believe, everyone else played on a different patch, and everyone played on patch 8.6 while we played on patch 8.5 when we had our finals, and then we had to go up 3 patches. I think EU played on 8.5 as well, or 8.6. I can't remember, but I believe NA was the one of the few regions that played on only 8.5, while everyone got the 8.6 hit. Right? So everyone knew about the Kaisas and everyone knew about how strong Kaisa was. And when you have to bump yourself 3 patches, it's really hard to sort of change as it is. And I think a lot of knee-jerk reaction is that even though we did start 1 and 5, we did end 4 and 1, excluding the tiebreaker. So when you think about it, we end 1 and 5. We start 1 and 5 where we expected to go 1 and 9 or 0 and 10. Memes. But you watch a team go 1 and 5 and go 4 wins in a row, lose one game. Well, that's typical because they're playing against, I think, RNG, who looked pretty strong at that time, and then lose the tiebreaker in the end because of problems. Maybe it's stemming from sort of execution problems. Impact needs to actually learn how to carry. I guess he only plays tanks, and anytime he plays any sort of carry, he sort of looks super lackluster. So there's that. But I think the biggest problem I have is a lot of knee-jerk reaction coming from TL going, this is TL did so bad. I'm like, they ended 4 and 1 on their first international stage. Now, granted, these are a team of veterans, and you're allowed to sort of nitpick, they didn't do the executions right. But this is the first time a team has come together, a first international season. It's not like where TSM has gone to like four internationals in a row. I believe that's actually true. But and then sort of flumped. But this is like where it's a new organization where they've sort of come in, and you watched they actually sort of roll back. And if you give them a couple more days, or if something changed where they won against Evils or they won against Fnatic on their first day, they're not 4 and 6 or 4 and 7. They're now 6 and 3.
Yeah,
I can. Ace, you go ahead.
No, those are fair points. It would be nice to see a little bit more consistency across the regions when it comes to patches. Personally, since it's just an international event, that honestly doesn't matter at all. I was hoping to just see them play on the current patch. I know that would not lead to the highest quality League of Legends, but I just wanted to see the different builds that came out after the AP items and stuff changed. But for NA, I think that Team Liquid had a bad import this week. Not that Ole is bad always, and a bad NA player. People were talking about bringing in Froggen to replace Pobelter, and then jokingly saying that we should bring in Biofrost from CLG to replace Ole. I think that there might be a little bit too much competition when it comes to good.
Well, that comes to the question: if you're going to replace someone like Pobelter, who do you replace him with?
Froggen.
But he's already on another team, just as an FYI. And
which team is he?
He doesn't. And to also, if you're going to import a mid laner, then you've got to find someone like Ole, and then who do you replace with Ole? And
Biofrost.
With Biofrost, but how do you know he wants to lead the team?
No,
right? So there's a lot of internal things that go on at the same time. I give Ole props for sort of benching himself out because he sort of knew I might be a hindrance. But at the same time, I think a lot of people just knee-jerk reaction. I'm like, if this is like a team that's going through summer, wins summer, then fails internationally, yes, do a change. But this is the first time they've come together. So when you knee-jerk react going, oh man, they all suck. I'm like, well, it's their first actual internationals as a team. Impact hasn't been to an actual, even though Impact's been to internationals, everyone's been there. It's sort of funny because now we're all shitting on Ole and Pobelter, and Double has always been the one that's been memed, but then he's got the best sort of performance there, and no one's talking about that in a sense. So
we're not really flaming anybody here, Spicy. Just talking.
I mean the community in general. To be honest, I think the community in general is just honestly just think and recency biases, and it's sort of like you guys are just a bunch of idiots.
Well, no, I can see your point, but I will make the argument that this format was known well ahead of time. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Team Liquid just took how much money from Alienware to open up a development location for their players so that he could get them out of the house and work on this player mentality. I agree that, yes, this is the first time this particular team has played together on an international level. But a lot of these players played together under CLG. Plus, Ollie was a prime performer the entirety of the last split. I don't think he needed subbed. I think he needed maybe get his head on the game a little bit more. But I had him on my fantasy team, and he secured me a win versus Ace. So I will not let anybody talk bad about it. And even beyond all that, Double Lift, I'm not going to congratulate you when you don't piss on the seat. He's constantly talking. He's always performing well. I'm not going to say great job doing what you normally do. And in regards to Pobelter, he's one of the best mids in North America, and he's locally developed talent. I don't want to see another European come in when we need to develop our own strengths and get away from this import mentality. And I'm a C9 fan. I wouldn't trade Jensen for the world, but I would love to see maybe some more localized spots so I can maybe get a little bit more excited about some local play.
Yeah. My honest opinion, too, should be that as the season progresses, they should match with the patches. A lot of times patches, I think most LCSs are like one patch behind or two patches behind, I think. Because I think they'll be playing on 8.10, but won't be playing on 8.11. I think if they keep themselves most up to date, you will see a change in meta, and it makes it a lot easier for teams to sort of play for that. Especially for us, exactly, right? We just got hit with patch. Now we're also trying to scramble. Oh, what shit? What's OP? Right? Oh, sorry. Oh, darn, what's OP? So, and stuff like that, where you're trying to sort of figure it out, and your picks will change as the patches go as well.
Yeah.
Instead of just the cycling of we got to import more, more. And I'm like, yes, that works, but it only works to an extent because it works in your local region. How does he play out in other regions?
Yeah, we probably should move on a little bit.
Yeah.
Kind of beating a dead Team Liquid.
A little bit overboard.
Beating a dead horse, so to say. Oh.
Well, if Double X riding the horse, I'd like to hit it a few more times. I really don't like that guy.
All right, okay. All the feelings out of the way.
Hey, that's okay.
Hey,
I don't like his King Soda. You know, he's talking stuff about me. I don't like how his tone is.
It's okay. Anyhow, so last question. And so do we think that the poor quote unquote selling, so like the explanation of how it works, of Bullet Swarm on Kaisa contributed to her being considered bad when she was first released and then buffed extremely afterwards to compensate for that? What do we think caused that problem? Since like she obviously seems pretty good right now.
I always thought she was busted when she first came out.
Yeah, I agree.
I honestly, because the way Bulletstorm works, it's like it used to be. It never was counted as an AOE. So your autos would have effects as that, and it's like, what? Are you serious? Like, I don't think people read into that because no one knew it. Everyone thought it was an AOE attack, and I'm like, okay, that's fine, that's manageable. And now where they change it, they buff the damage, but they lower the amount of bullets, and it counts as AOE. It's still busted because it's not balanced in a sense to where it's manageable. Where if Kaisa sort of gets going, it's like she can literally 1v5 teams if the Kaisa is good enough. And it's sort of like, well, this is sort of sucks, especially since how her whole kit is playing off of building and getting more passives in a sense.
Yeah. I think that the problem is Riot's trying to not destroy the game with new champion releases like they used to do. Stuff like Darius and other champions that will not be named since I forgot. And so they release champions and then kind of ignore the fact that they're... Oh, sorry, Prowler. Anyhow, we'll deal with his question afterwards. I think that when new champions are released, that they don't consider players learning the champions as part of the win percentages, and that when they see low percentages, they then have to overbuff to get people playing it again. Prowler's thing in the chat says that Bullet Swarm is the Kaisa skin, and that he was wondering whether or not they buffed her to get more sales on the skin.
I honestly don't think it's more of the sales. It's just when she's OP, people will play the most OP stuff in the world. Remember when Zoe was OP? Holy moly, that was not even fun to play against. It was like you even though she had a high learning curve, once she was understood, it's like there was no counterplay against it just by how ridiculous she was. She could always get TPs. She could always get the very good ones. She gets smite. She gets exhausts. Gets ignites. Gets 3 flashes in a row. Stuff like that, right? So it's sort of. I honestly think it's not more of an underselling, but it's a very poor way of balancing if you think about it. Because if you're like if you underbuff a champion and you're like, oh, now we got to buff him. Now she's over the top. It's sort of like, what? How did this get past QA?
For sure. Poison, do you have anything to say before we wrap this up?
No.
That's okay. Well, thank you for joining us, and I hope you feel better. Thank you, Spicy Hot Meme as well, and as always, Sig. And with that, we'll wrap it up for this week. Thank you all for tuning in to this episode of Let's Talk About the League, and make sure to subscribe and follow us on Facebook and YouTube so that we can get our URL. But we'll be back on Sunday at 5:30 Central Time for the first set of games between Option 12 and More Cowbell.